Have you ever felt like you give your all, your effort, your time, your kindness, yet somehow others still treat you as if you're invisible? Maybe they interrupt you, talk over you, or belittle your ideas in meetings. Maybe they simply ignore you. It stings, doesn't it? That quiet ache of being overlooked. But what if the way we respond to disrespect says more about our strength than their behavior? Imagine sitting in a room full of voices, but your silence speaks the loudest. That's not weakness. That's power. The kind of quiet, grounded presence that Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius cultivated not just to survive, but to thrive. Marcus, who ruled the Roman Empire, faced constant criticism and betrayal, yet he never let disrespect steal his peace. Instead, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In a world where ego often shouts, the Stoics teach us to listen inward. They remind us that self-control is the highest form of self-respect, that reacting is easy, but mastering your response is heroic, and that our dignity doesn't depend on someone else's opinion. This video isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. It's about using ancient wisdom to navigate modern disrespect with grace, courage, and clarity. You'll discover 5 powerful practical ways to protect your peace without compromising your values. 5 Stoic strategies that don't just help you handle difficult people, they help you become a better person. So if you're tired of being rattled by rudeness, if you crave a steadier way to live and lead, stay with us. Because today, we're not just learning how to deal with people who don't respect us. We're learning how to respect ourselves. 1. Silence is a strategic response. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone mocked you, dismissed your ideas, or publicly questioned your worth, and you didn't respond? Not because you were weak, but because deep down, you knew that person wasn't worth your energy. That silence, in that moment, wasn't a surrender. It was a declaration of control. In today's world, where noise equals influence and reaction is expected, silence can feel like an anomaly. Society teaches us to defend ourselves, to clap back, to always have the last word. But the Stoics saw things differently. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most disciplined minds, wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion." This isn't apathy, it's wisdom, the kind that recognizes silence as strength. Picture this. You're in a heated meeting. You share a well-thought-out idea, and a colleague smirks and cuts you off. Every nerve in your body screams to retaliate. But instead, you pause. You look them in the eye. You breathe. And you say, "Nothing." That silence? It stings more than any clever comeback, because silence is not the absence of power, it's the embodiment of restraint. And in Stoicism, restraint is one of the highest virtues. Marcus Aurelius didn't engage with every critic. He led armies and governed empires, but he understood that inner peace wasn't achieved by arguing with every voice that tried to provoke him. He knew that energy is precious and must be conserved for what truly matters. Ask yourself, what do you lose when you stay silent? Pride? Ego? And what do you gain? Clarity, control, the ability to choose your response rather than be dragged into someone else's chaos. When you choose silence, you're not withdrawing, you're rising. You're refusing to be a puppet pulled by the strings of someone else's disrespect. This doesn't mean bottling up emotions or pretending things don't affect you. Stoicism isn't numbness, it's mindfulness. It's stepping back to observe before reacting. It's recognizing that most provocations are like firecrackers, loud but short-lived. If you don't fuel the flame, it burns out. Imagine someone insults you in public. The old you might have snapped, tried to win the argument, demanded justice. But the Stoic listens, observes, and walks away because they understand that their behavior says more about them than it does about you. There's a metaphor often used in Stoic circles. You are a harbor. Storms may rage outside, waves may crash, but within, you are calm, anchored, unmoved. Silence is your anchor. It keeps you from drifting into pointless battles. So next time someone mocks your voice, interrupts your sentence, or questions your presence, remember this: you don't owe anyone a reaction. Your worth is not up for debate. Choose the high road not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Because silence, when chosen from strength, is louder than noise. Epictetus, another great Stoic, once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Silence breaks that cycle. It is the refusal to be dragged into emotional poverty. Try asking yourself, what does my silence communicate today? Is it fear or is it mastery? Can I resist the urge to react, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom? If Marcus Aurelius could hold his tongue in the Senate while governing a fragile empire, then surely we can hold ours at the dinner table, in the office, or online. Not every insult needs an answer. Not every jab deserves our dignity. In choosing silence, you do not lose, you lead. And in that leadership, you reclaim something far more valuable than victory: your peace. 2. Boundaries. Build true self-respect. How many times have you tolerated someone's disrespect just to avoid being called difficult? How often have you stayed silent while something inside you whispered, "This isn't right"? Many of us have been conditioned to prioritize keeping the peace over protecting our peace. But peace that comes at the expense of your integrity is not peace at all. It is appeasement. Stoicism reminds us that we are responsible for our well-being. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." And if we continuously allow ourselves to be mistreated, it warps the way we see ourselves. We internalize what we endure. The more we let it happen, the more it becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes a belief, and beliefs shape destinies. Imagine a colleague who regularly makes condescending remarks. At first, you brush it off, thinking it's not worth the fight, but the comments keep coming. Your energy shifts. You begin dreading meetings. You question your worth. The disrespect becomes a weight, not because of its size, but because you've been carrying it too long. That's when a boundary isn't just helpful, it's essential. Setting boundaries doesn't mean being confrontational. It means being clear. You don't have to justify your discomfort. You only have to honor it. A Stoic doesn't seek control over others, but takes full responsibility for their own space. You can calmly say, "That's not acceptable to me," or "Please speak to me with respect." No drama, just dignity. Ask yourself, where in your life do you feel drained rather than energized? Who in your circle consistently leaves you feeling small? What conversations do you replay in your head because you didn't speak up? Those are the places where boundaries are needed, not walls, but gates. not barriers to keep people out, but standards to decide who comes in. The strength of a boundary lies not in its volume, but in its consistency. When you repeatedly show people how you expect to be treated, you teach them, and you also teach yourself. Each boundary is a promise to your future self that you will no longer settle for less than respect. Stoic boundaries aren't built on anger, but on clarity. They don't say, "I'm better than you." They say, "I'm better to myself now." And when those boundaries are crossed, the Stoic doesn't explode. They exit with grace, with silence, with resolve. Remember Epictetus's words, "No person is free who is not master of themselves." Boundaries are the architecture of self-mastery. They are quiet declarations that say, "I value my peace more than your approval." So take inventory. Who drains you? What situations repeatedly violate your peace? And most importantly, what will you do about it? The power to define your limits is the power to reclaim your life. And every time you say no to what disrespects you, you are saying yes to what strengthens you. 3. Don't mirror their disrespect. You've probably heard it before. Treat others the way they treat you. But what if they treat you with cruelty, with mockery, with condescension? Should you respond in kind? The Stoics would say no, because to mirror someone's disrespect is to hand them the script of your behavior. And worse, it allows them to write your character. Think of a time you were insulted. Your heart rate spiked. Your words sharpened. You felt the urge to cut back, to sting where they struck. That reaction is human. But Stoicism invites us to ask, what kind of human do I want to be? Am I merely reacting to life, or am I choosing how to live? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." There is power in choosing not to descend to their level. There is strength in walking through fire without becoming the flame. Let's take an example. You're in a group, and someone makes a passive-aggressive jab at you. Everyone hears it. You have options. Fire back, laugh it off, pretend it didn't hurt. But what if you responded with a measured truth, a calm, clear acknowledgement that you heard them and chose not to play their game? That choice disarms. It shifts the energy from retaliation to resolution. We mirror others because it feels immediate. It feels like justice, but it's short-lived. Like drinking salt water when you're thirsty, it satisfies nothing. True mastery is not letting other people's behavior dictate yours. You choose your standards. You decide what kind of person you're becoming. Ask yourself, when you reflect on your day, are you proud of how you acted? Did you uphold your values or react from your wounds? Stoicism teaches that our actions are the only things fully within our control. If we surrender them, we surrender our freedom. The Stoic doesn't deny pain. They simply don't give it the microphone. You can feel anger and still choose patience. You can feel hurt and still respond with integrity. That's not weakness. That's discipline. That's power. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who faced betrayal, envy, and manipulation all within the Roman court. Yet he journaled not about revenge, but about character. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Each day, you are tested. Not in grand ways, but in tiny moments. A rude driver, a dismissive boss, a snide comment online. In those moments, you have a choice. Do you mirror their darkness, or do you reflect your light? The world doesn't need more reactions. It needs more responses. Thoughtful, steady, grounded in principle. When you choose to act from your values, not theirs, you reclaim your power. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause, breathe, ask, is this behavior worthy of shaping mine? What would the wiser version of me do here? Responding with grace is not giving in, it's rising above. And in that quiet strength, you don't just preserve your dignity, you elevate it. 4. Your energy is a currency. Have you ever felt completely drained after spending time with someone? Not physically, but emotionally, as if their presence was a tax on your soul. In Stoic philosophy, this is no coincidence. Energy, much like money, is a limited resource. How you spend it and who you spend it on shapes the quality of your inner life. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what he didn't have to say outright is that the quality of your thoughts is influenced by the people you allow into your space. Some people are fountains. They refresh you, challenge you, and inspire you. Others are drains. They diminish you, distract you, and slowly, quietly deplete the best parts of you. Your energy is your currency. You wake up each morning with a fixed amount. If you waste it reacting to petty comments, engaging in fruitless debates, or trying to fix people who don't want to change, you'll end the day bankrupt. Stoicism asks us to invest that energy wisely, not impulsively. Every interaction is a transaction. Ask yourself, what am I getting in return? Stoic thinkers weren't ascetics by accident. They knew the danger of overextending. Seneca warned, associate with people who are likely to improve you, not because you're better than anyone else, but because time and energy are finite. You wouldn't give your money to someone who burns it, so why give your spirit to someone who bruises it? You may think, but I can't control who I work with, who I live near, or who's in my family. True, but you can control how much access they get to your inner world. You can set emotional boundaries. You can decide which comments to absorb and which to ignore. You can mentally step back, even if you physically stay. Think of your attention like a spotlight. Where you shine, it determines what grows. If you constantly illuminate negativity, gossip, or hostility, you're nurturing the very thing that hurts you. But if you redirect that light toward learning, creating, and reflecting, you water your soul. Ask yourself daily, who am I giving my best self to? Are they worthy? Or am I pouring premium fuel into engines that only run on drama? You have every right to protect your peace like it's your most prized possession, because it is. Disrespect doesn't just wound your ego. It costs you hours of overthinking, days of lost confidence, and years of feeling less than. That cost is too high. The Stoic response is not to hate the source of the drain, but to reallocate attention away from it. To choose where your energy flows is to choose what grows in your life. Every time you withdraw your energy from someone who disrespects you, you're investing in someone else who uplifts you, even if that someone is yourself. So what does it look like in practice? Maybe it's choosing not to reply to a passive-aggressive message. Maybe it's saying no to a meeting that will go nowhere. Maybe it's walking away from a friendship that feels like obligation, not connection. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the decision to stop funding the noise and start financing your peace. Protect your energy like you protect your time, because in the end, they are the same, and how you spend both is the story of your life. 5. Walk away with quiet power. Have you ever felt the sting of being disrespected, yet knew that staying would cost you more than leaving ever could? There comes a point where the most courageous act is not confrontation, but departure. Not with slammed doors or loud speeches, but with quiet, resolute footsteps that say, "I've had enough." In the Stoic tradition, walking away is not weakness, it is mastery over self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What he might have added is that if it does not serve your peace, do not stay. Many people remain in toxic relationships, draining jobs, or manipulative friendships, not because they're blind, but because they've forgotten their worth. They fear being alone more than they fear being diminished. But a Stoic understands that solitude is not the enemy, disrespect is. Because when you tolerate it, you teach others how to treat you, and worse, you teach yourself what you believe you deserve. Imagine standing at the edge of a relationship that's chipped away at your spirit. The other person hasn't changed. The patterns repeat. And suddenly, clarity arrives not in the form of rage, but of resolve. You no longer need apologies. You need air. That's the moment of walking away. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't owe them a monologue. Stoicism isn't about performance. It's about principle. The exit is not about making them see your value. It's about remembering it yourself. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And people's behavior is often one of those things. If someone consistently disrespects you, they're showing you who they are. The question is, will you keep showing up? Walking away means reclaiming your narrative. It means choosing peace over chaos, values over validation, and freedom over familiarity. It's a conscious decision to invest in yourself even when others don't. Think of the energy you've spent trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. The late-night arguments, the second-guessing, the endless rehearsals of what you should have said. What if you redirected that effort into building a life where your presence is honored, not questioned? Ask yourself, what am I staying for? Love, loyalty, or fear? And if fear is the answer, then you already know what you must do. Stoic strength is quiet. It doesn't beg. It doesn't prove. It just chooses and keeps moving. You are not responsible for waking others up to your value. You're only responsible for living like you know it. And sometimes, the most powerful message you can send is your absence. So when the time comes, don't yell, don't plead, just walk. Walk like someone who knows their worth. Walk like someone who's done explaining. Walk like someone who's finally come home to themselves. Because the loudest declaration of self-respect is not in your words, but in your choices. And no choice is more powerful than the one to leave what no longer honors you. Disrespect may be loud, but wisdom does not need to raise its voice. Through silence, boundaries, discipline, and grace, you have learned how the Stoics face dishonor without losing honor. These are not just ancient ideas, they are tools for modern resilience. Think back on the times you reacted quickly, only to regret it later. Think of how often someone's opinion stole your peace. Now imagine a different outcome, one where you pause, assess, and rise above. That's the path of Stoicism, not suppression, but transformation. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest victory was within himself. He said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What if you could revoke your suffering by changing the way you see disrespect? You are not what others say. You are what you practice. And when you practice dignity, even in the face of scorn, you become unshakable. You are the calm in the storm, the lighthouse in fog, the one who chooses character over chaos. You may not control how others treat you, but you always control the message you send back. Let that message be this: I will not trade my peace for your approval. Ask yourself, what kind of example do I want to be? What legacy am I creating through the way I respond? Respect is not something we demand, it's something we embody. And when you live with respect for yourself, even in silence, the world takes notice. If you found value in these ideas, if something in your heart stirred or stilled, we invite you to walk this path with us. Like, subscribe, share this with someone who might need to hear it today, because change begins quietly from within.